Good morning, everybody. I'm Rashina Smith, and welcome to today's show. So today's special guest is a force within the movie industry. He has established himself as a director, writer, and filmmaker. He is also the CEO of his own production company, Bear Hug Productions. Let's please welcome Mr. James Jones Jr. Welcome, Mr. Jones. How are you today?
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Yes,
absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, so we're just going to dive right in. So first of all, you're from Eastern Carolina, correct?
Born and raised.
Born and raised right here in Greenville?
Right here in Greenville.
All right. Can you tell us what was the spark that got you into filmmaking?
I was always a big movie maker, or just a movie watcher, you know. So my mother's from Bronx, New York, so she used to send me to New York to work off my school clothes over the summer with my uncles. Oh, wow. So I got a chance of also experiencing the city life and just a lot of the culture things that's there. And my uncle had this VHS tape that I wore out, and it was the Spike Lee "Do the Right Thing."
Okay, that's a classic.
And, that's what inspired me from there on. You know, wanting to be like that and create things like that, you know, to impact the people.
Right, absolutely. So speaking of creating, what does your creative process look like?
Well, I'm a visionary, you know, so a lot of times I see it all the way through. And what I try to do is try to match up and get the people who also aligns with my vision to fulfill out what I see, you know. So if it's dealing with, you know, just open visions and writing, and if I'm at work, it come to me and I'm actually writing scripts. You know, I pretty much wrote Paydert completely at work within 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
You know, so I would say it's a gift, you know, that I truly believe that the Creator has given me to be able to tap into.
Absolutely. So with that gift, were you like that as a child? I do remember hearing about Jay-Z, how he used to he memorized his lines and everything.
I get it.
So were you like that as well? Like you just had different ideas coming to you?
Well, I would like to say I was very, my father used to call me destructive, right? But he understood it was in a good way. I used to like to kind of break things apart, if it was toys or whatnot, and break it down to its lower common denominator, not understanding the way, if I push this button, it makes the wheels run, or if I push this button to make the horn go. So he understood that when I got a certain age, why does this boy keep tearing up toys? Right. Because I love how things work,
right?
You know, and putting things together. So I've always been a creator and a visionary of those types of things.
That is awesome. That's amazing. I do believe a lot of kids that have like what they call ADHD, I think they just have a lot of imagination.
Absolutely.
So without giving away too much information, could you please tell us a bit about the new film Paydert that you have coming out this Friday, June the 26th? What initially drew you to the themes explored throughout this film, and how did the story evolve from the first draft to the final edit?
Oh, wow. I remember watching a 60 Minutes episode. It was about a young man he was from North Carolina, but he ended up moving to VA, but he eventually lived on this particular street. And for a long time, born and raised, when he got to a certain age, later on in his 50s, he went out, purchased a house, maybe like 3 blocks away from where he was born at. This particular house, he didn't know the history of it. And it was from there, when he moved into the house, he began to find all types of artifacts around the property, around the home. And he didn't really understand what was going on, so he ended up bringing a local historian there. And she goes in and does her little research and finding out that the home used to be a former plantation house. Not only that, as she continued to dig and bring him more information, she also realized that some of those people that lived there on that property lived there and died there. That was also part of his ancestors.
Wow.
So it was mind-blowing to even see something like that, nevertheless, how he was feeling.
Right.
You know, I mean, first home buyer and then realizing that you living in a former plantation home.
Right.
So it was from there, he said, you know, many people was like, you know, you're going to move, you know. And he could have looked at it at that light, but he really wanted to bring light to the situation. So he wanted to know more. And finding out, he ended up bringing a team of people to test the grounds and realize and finding out there was a lot of burial sites around this property.
Oh, goodness.
Back in those days, we didn't have headstones. They didn't make headstones for us. So there was unmarked graves where, you know, people wouldn't know who was it, you know, that was buried. So I believe it was like 20 some bodies that was underground, maybe more.
Oh, goodness.
And what he did was actually he marked them, and what he was running like some type of fundraiser campaign, trying to make, you know, getting people, bringing awareness to what he was doing so he can mark those graves and also bring that house up to what he visioned it to be and really kind of just absorb it. You know,
Yeah.
This is a home that, you know, yes, his ancestors lived and was forced to be there. They died and shed blood there. But also, back in those days, a lot of us, we built those homes.
Right. Right.
So
right.
he stayed there, and he's still there today. So that's what inspired me. Man, that's powerful. And I was just finishing off Freedom of NC, my first feature film, and I began to start writing on that. So I took that as an inspiration, and then I added the creativity of, you know, what I do as a writer, and kind of merged it together with a bit of Freedom of NC. So I tell people, you know, before you watch this film, watch Freedom of NC, because I like to say, kind of picklebacks from the first film.
Okay.
But the beginning to the end, I would have to say, you know, just writing it took me a little over 2 weeks to write it, to build a team, and to do location scouting. You know, we actually filmed Paydert at the oldest Pitt County plantation house that is still up today. It's right off of Highway 43. The former owners were the Greenwreath Plantation. It could be looked up. ECU also have they did some type of document on it that I was able to pull up. But you know, if you just kind of put Greenwreath Plantation, you pull up with a lot of the information where it was a little over 139 enslaved people that was on that property as well. So we actually filmed there. There is 2 loving couples that live there. That's from Canada. And I was able to kind of share to them my vision.
Okay.
And they believed in it, and we was able to schedule a date back in May of 2023, and we launched the first, you know, film date, and we started filming ever since.
Okay, awesome. And with that note, we will be taking a short break. We will return soon. All right, so we are back. We are still speaking with film director, producer, CEO, all the way around Renaissance man, Mr. James Jones Jr., whose new film will be broadcasting worldwide on Friday, June the 26th, 2026. Y'all be sure to go see it and check it out, okay? And so prior to the break, you were speaking about your people seeing your first film prior to seeing Paydert. You want to tell us a little bit about the first film?
Well, the first film, we shot that. We started off shooting that in 2019. I end up going through a lot of red tape, and I end up getting and using the location of Somerset Plantation, third biggest plantation in North Carolina, in Creswell.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, that's pretty much state property. I had to go through Raleigh Historic Parks. But we started filming there for about 7 months, and then the pandemic hit. Pandemic hit, whole country kind of shut down.
Right.
I remember I got the email from I believe she was the director at the time, was just kind of letting me know that I had to kind of completely stop on the production until they hear back from Governor Cooper of, you know, reopening the historic park. So my team and I, we continue to practice online on Zoom, but fast forwarding, I end up, you know, I either had to sit on my hands or continue to push this vision, you know, really didn't know where to go, how to do it. And I was connected by a friend of mine to meet this. He was the president of this other plantation in North Carolina, historic plantation. We got a lot of plantation in North Carolina, by the way.
Wow.
But
yeah, I didn't know that.
yes, absolutely.
Wow.
In Windsor, North Carolina, Mr. Turner, and I kind of shared with him everything that I've been filming there, and he loved it, and he said, "Hey, you can come here." It was privately owned by the family, and we reshot everything entirely there at the Hope Plantation in Windsor, North Carolina. So a bit about that film, it's basically it's a family, the Jones family, and this courageous young girl by the name of Sarah she wanted to see much more than what her circumstances was. You know, she knew it was much more in the world. She was born as enslaved, and she just wanted to be free.
Right.
You know, she kind of remind you of Harriet Tubman. You know, almost the rebellion version of Harriet Tubman, doing anything to really seek that. And that's what she did. She got up with her brothers and her mother, and they was totally against it because, you know, they almost fear, because back then it was against the law of trying to escape.
Right.
And if you got caught by bounty hunters, you know, there's consequences. But she didn't care. She wanted to do whatever she could, as long as she has breath in her lungs, to see that freedom.
She was a fighter.
She was a fighter, absolutely, and that's exactly what she did. She takes this family, and I could have pinpointed and say, you know, she could have took them to New York, Maine, Canada, because back in those days you go up north,
right?
You know, but I wanted to kind of really create this special place, and I call it the land of rigor. Regur, R-E-G-U-R, mean black soil. So it was a place that black people governed at. Black people can identify each other and be able to have power within themselves. And that's where, you know, she takes her family, and they end up at the land of Regur eventually. But they had to go through a lot to even get there.
That is so powerful.
Yes.
So every story needs an obstacle. How do you approach building internal versus external conflict within your characters?
I like to show, you know, we boast about the strength of anyone. It can just be even about me. I can boast about what my strengths are. But I also wanted to share the weakness in that person, or what that person is going through. So if we're speaking about Chris, he and Paydert, you know, he has almost a weakness, you know, a weakness to really hold this family together, being a black man with a lot of weight on his shoulders, buying a house, making sure that he does everything that he's supposed to do. But there's things that was falling short from his eyes. And I wanted people to see that in the different ups and downs and the roller coasters that happens in Paydert, what he was going through. And this young girl by the name of Tilly, who, you know, a lot of people think that she's a ghost or whatnot, but she is a spirit. And that is where she brings to him his identity, or shows him who he is, his true identity within himself. But he had to go through a lot of obstacles. And with that, people can identify, oh man, Chris went through that. I can really relate to it, you know. Different events, but I can kind of relate to it. And that's why I try to build my films where people can be able to see it and be able to take it and apply it to self.
Absolutely.
You know?
We will be taking a short break. We will return soon. All right, everybody, and we are back with filmmaker James Jones Jr., whose movie Paydert will be streaming worldwide on Amazon Prime this upcoming Friday, June the 26th. So thank you for joining us again. So let's just get right back to it. So I know you were talking about COVID prior to, you know, in the beginning of our interview. So with that, are there any other times, can you share an example of any other time when there was a major unexpected obstacle that happened on set
Okay.
How were you able to adapt, or how do you deal with conflict in general as it pertains to filmmaking?
How do I deal? Um, I'm easy to work with. As far as any cast members who have worked with me, I'm very easy to work with.
That's good to know.
Certain directors is very demanding,
Right.
and they want things, or she want things their way.
Right.
And if you don't do it their way, they have, backups. So I'm very lenient. And I heard that it's good, but then it's not. But what I like to do is before I start my production rehearsals, I started with a prayer because that keeps everything in line.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
It does.
Not saying that things doesn't still happen
Right.
as far as technical difficulties or a problem with a cast member or whatnot. But I truly put that in the center of everything I do.
Right.
But a lot of times, with Paydert, we didn't really have too many issues and challenges that I had to face.
Right.
And if it was basically, me pulling a actor to the side and kind of letting them know what I'm expecting from them. And what I'm not seeing or what I'm not getting, but as so much as pushback, not too many.
Okay.
I think more of my challenge come in with the really the support within my community, and just getting people involved in what I'm doing, because this would be my third project here.
Well, can you elaborate a little bit more about the support from your community? And I'm asking because I know a lot of people, they want to do things locally. However, they feel like they don't get the support. So that's why they move away to bigger cities and branch out. But you are trying to do something positive within the community. So tell us about that and how it might affect you.
Well, I mean, as I mentioned, I've moved and lived in Kennesaw, maybe 15, 20 minutes outside of Atlanta. And that was one of the main reasons of just leaving where I was from to in a certain totally different area to kind of receive those support. But God had other plans for me after about 4 years to bring me back here. The support is always going to be there, regardless if it's friends or family, but I just had to kind of remind myself who I am and what I'm doing and what I was called to do.
Right.
Regardless of who's, praising me or whatnot, and it can kind of be a bit challenging and people get frustrated. I got frustrated.
Absolutely.
A lot of times when you putting in a lot of work, a lot of people don't see the behind the scene when it comes down to putting a film together.
They see the final product.
Right,
Not
they see the
what went
final
into it.
product,
Absolutely.
and really not having a budget. This was my third film without a budget.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So to really get people that really believes in you, understanding regardless if they're getting paid or not, and just still wanting to be a part of it, speaks volume. It speaks favor as well.
Right.
Because a lot of people ask me, like, man, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't know where, what I should be doing. This is this. And
right.
I just tell them to believe in yourself.
Absolutely. Well, I just hope here at WNCT, we will always support you.
Thank you.
And on that note, you guys will be taking a short break. We will return soon. And welcome back, everyone. We are here with filmmaker, producer, director, a force to be reckoned with in the film community, Mr. James Jones Jr., whose film Paydert will be broadcasted worldwide this upcoming Friday, June the 26th. Y'all be sure to go see it. So with that being said, do you plan on making different genres of films?
Absolutely. I don't want to stay in a completely a box. I understand the message and what I'm trying to implement in the content that I'm doing. But I definitely want to, do, action and, crime and different movies such as those things as well that I watch as well. And that's not just limiting my gift, So when it comes down to biopics and history films, anything that's educational, I'm a win-win for it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely win-win for it. Any way that I can be able to educate and enlighten and empower people, that's what I'm here for.
Absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about some of your other projects that you've done? I have heard about the docuseries Tricky Sam, and I could not wait to speak with you about that because I remember my stepfather telling me about him, and I was like a little bit terrified. The things that my stepdad was telling me, I'm like, he was driving a car with no motor, no nothing in it. I'm just like, huh? So could you elaborate about, your connection maybe to that film and to him per se?
Well, this goes back, I want to say, I was still working on Freedom of NC, and I've always heard about Tricky Sam, and a lot of it came from my grandfather. He used to share all types of stories with us, and I was very fascinated, wanting to know more, and I would go to where my granddaddy, he'd be on his bed watching this little cowboy shows, telling the story, and I would run right in there with my grandma while she's cooking over a hot stove and asking her, like, is this true? And she would never want to talk about it. Right. She would never either want to talk, or she will ignore me some way or another. So I thought even back then, growing up, like, granddad might be talking, or he may be on something,
right?
Because grandma would let me know if he's just pulling my coattail. So finding out a few years ago that he was my granddaddy's second cousin.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't even know. And he would visit time from time, where back in the day, and this is going back in the 80s, where my grandfather, my grandmother and them, and my mother and their siblings was they were living in Morewood projects. And he was come there all the time, visiting my grandfather, sitting outside, drinking moonshine, and just talking up something. Yeah. And my first thing that my mother remembered was the ear coin trick. Every time when she would come around him, he'd do this little ear coin trick, and almost kind of make it seem like the quarter is coming out your ear, and he'd give the quarter to you. Yeah. But I think what kind of made my mama look at him a little different was she had came home, and I think she was in 10th grade at Jay's Rose, and came home, and she came through the back door this time. They used to keep the front door locked, so it came through the back door, and my grandfather and Tricky Sam was doing what they was doing, drinking and talking up something, and she seen his jar. It was like a molasses jar, empty jar with moonshine in there, and it was completely, almost empty. He drank the last swallow, and by the time he put it down, she's looking at it, and it literally kind of filled itself back up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So my mom was like, she was scared of him from there. Right.
I gotta admit, I was scared when my stepdad told me about it.
She was scared with him from there.
Absolutely.
So, and when she go back to ask my grandfather after he left, right, my granddaddy didn't do nothing but laugh.
Okay. Oh, your granddad was tough, because I would have been scared too. Right. I feel your grandmother, because like I said, when my stepdad was telling me, he was like, Tricky Sam would be driving, and when he would pop the hood of his car, there would be no motor, no engine, nothing. You literally could see the ground. I was like,
I don't know how many times I heard that.
Yes. I was like, what? Like,
yes. And we're covering that scene. We actually did a reenactment, so this will be a docu-series.
Okay.
So, I could have put it in a film, but it was like too much information, too many stories.
Right.
And when you're talking about these types of stories, these are Southern stories. Right. This is, I'm visiting and talking with people originally from Belhaven, Pantego, Aurora, Plymouth. And these are his area that he was around. He also came around Greenville as well. But a lot of those areas, they dealt with a lot of different things, especially Belhaven, if it was root working and things of that nature. Yeah. So, I was very fascinated of learning more and understanding it. And as you get a chance of seeing this docuseries, it's going to unfold just that.
Yeah, I know the old folks used to call them Hanks. I remember my grandmother, she used to tell us stuff like that. I'm like, Grandma, why are you telling us this stuff at night? Like, all right, everybody. So thank you so much for joining us today. This was filmmaker James Jones Jr. Please be sure to tune in this Friday, June the 26th, for the world premiere of Paydert.